It was just about 6 weeks ago, I had a conversation with a man who was I think he was about 63 years of age. I was thinking he was just a little bit older than my older sister. His father, now well into his 80s, a World War II veteran and a retired Assembly of God minister. I knew his dad well. I know his dad well. His mom and dad are still alive. I know him well. Never met the son. And he began to, in this conversation we had, unfold his testimony, how at the age of 18, he left God, left his family, joined the hippie drug culture. Remember, this is the 60s when he was 18. And spent the next 35 years of his life in bondage to drugs. Most of that time, heroin was his drug of choice, and then his addiction. Heroin. Spent 35 years of his life as a heroin addict. He was in and out of prison on drug and theft-related charges, selling, possession, all these things. And there came a point in which he was facing a life imprisonment because of the 3 strikes law. It was going to be his 3rd felony, and he was going to be out. And it was at this point that he cried out to God, he said many times over the years, but never with a true sense of sincerity, that he truly cried out to God. And through God's gracious plan, he found himself at Teen Challenge. And God delivered him, he's told me instantaneously, delivered him of his addiction to heroin. And he had a relationship with the Lord that he had never experienced before in his life. He didn't get to finish the program at the castle because he was up on charges. Again, through a miracle, instead of spending the rest of his life in prison, he spent only 4 years. But this time in prison, he was serving God. He was a believer. He was growing. He was growing. It's been 6 years since he's been released from prison. He is now living very near to his siblings and his parents. He has an adult daughter and a granddaughter. A daughter that he never contributed to growing up. He knew her. She was around his folks. But it was a daughter that he was never a father to. But he's reconciled to her. He has the joy of playing with his granddaughter, of playing with his niece and nephew's kids, of being part of a family. God did so much in his life that he decided to give back. And he went to Teen Challenge Ministry Institute, graduated from there, and is now serving in a local church. Wow. We hear those stories when Teen Challenge comes out. It's great, right? Familiar testimony. We rejoice in what the Lord's done for his salvation, the restoration that's evidenced in his life. We can say yes. But the statement that I found shocking in all of his testimony was this. Because we got into a conversation about growing up in church. Growing up as a pastor's son. Growing up with parents who never abandoned him. Good parents. Good leaders. And this is what he said. He goes, I'd grown up in a pastor's home. My folks were good parents. He says, but I can tell you, in all that time growing up, I never really had a relationship with God. What? You sat on the front row. You were a preacher's kid. He was the president of CAs, which was the youth group at that time. He and his brothers did all the things that preacher's kids do around the church to help out in ministry. And we questioned him. And he said, I am telling you, the way I know Jesus today, the way he touched and changed my life, I never experienced that as a child or a young person. I said it, and he goes, and it was not my folks' fault. It was not the church's fault. He said, I never experienced Jesus. I have to tell you, as a parent of 2 PKs, but more importantly, as a pastor, I was taken back. I was taken back. How many times have I seen this story repeated in church just in my short tenure? Young people growing up, or other people coming and sitting and then walking away from God. Maybe after 20 years of being in church. How can it be? I break myself over those coals. Could I have done more? Could I preach better? How could we have reached out? How could we have made a difference? Wow. Wow. There's a sense in which that every person is responsible for that relationship with God. He was very clear. Don't blame my parents. Don't blame the church. He simply never truly opened his heart up and took that relationship seriously. Maybe you're here. Maybe you've been here every single Sunday. I don't know. But you could say like that man who is now 63 years of age, I have never experienced the life-changing power of Jesus Christ. Yes, I prayed the prayer, which I'm sure he did. But I have never experienced that life-changing power. And it's not your parents' fault. It's not your spouse's fault. It's not the church's fault. For whatever reason, your Lord has been taken away from your life, and you don't know where they've taken him. You don't know how to find him. You stand like Mary outside that tomb, perplexed and confused. Perplexed and confused. Yet through the songs and the worship and the communion and the celebration, I know that the Spirit of God has been here. And His Spirit is calling your name. His Spirit is calling your name. It's breaking through all the resistance, all the numbness, all the walls, all the pride. It's calling. I have to tell you, today is the day to let go of whatever it is, your pain, your pride, the preconceived notions about God that's kept you distance, and just reach out to Jesus. Not to people, not to a form of religion, not to a pretense or a pretend faith, but reach out to the one who did it all.